are actually dictated by society and our gender roles. Like, do women just naturally gravitate toward these roles? And that's a real question. Like, I'm not trying to say state that
So,
that's a real thing. I'm just asking a question.
so like a lot. This is why I like sociology. Basically, I you could look at this from a gazillion different aspects. Like there's the biological aspect, which is the oh my god, freaking stupid dog. Just ran up against the freaking door and like pounded it. Oh my god.
Hell
Calm
yeah.
down. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, um oh my gosh, what was I saying?
Something about women roles and caregiving and gender and
Oh, um mm, you can look at it from a biological approach to the idea that like early society, men's natural instinct in early society is to protect the females because they are what is going to produce children which are going to help you survive in society. They literally, like, women are basically treated like livestock in that sense, in like very early.
Okay, so let's clarify something early on then. You said natural instinct. Do you mean
Okay, when I say natural instinct,
yeah.
I mean I don't even think I can say natural instinct. I just mean traditional ideals. Like, I when I say
Well, wouldn't it, all right, so here's a question. Would it not make sense that a woman who is childbearing, and this is a real question, that is childbearing for 9 months. I mean, most women know how hard it is to get up and let alone bend over when you're child rearing. So, is it
no,
is it not the natural instinct to say that men would protect them for that 9-month period to develop that tradition? So,
yes, men naturally will, but naturally women will also protect other women that are also in that
okay.
state, if that
Okay.
makes sense. So, and it's one of those things where, like, yes, that is the base of it. It's okay, this is part of me and part of you. I want to protect it. It is ours. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That kind of thing. But at the same time, it's also a possessive thing with the woman. A lot of relationships become very exclusive and possessive, and I don't know, almost like the woman's fulfilling a greed of the man.
Mhm.
A lot of relationships that, like, even I've like been in relationships like that where it doesn't even feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a two-way thing. It feels very much like, okay, I'm being put on a pedestal in a like very sexual romanticized way, um but I'm putting him on a pedestal in a lifestyle way.
Okay.
And that's one of the norms that are in a lot of relationships nowadays. It's that
So that's not a feminine thing though. Cuz
a feminine thing. No, that's a both thing.
okay. I'm just
That's and
clarifying
that's
that.
my
Yeah.
and that's my point about the whole thing, is that it's not something that I can sit there and be mad about if I'm being treated that way,
Right.
because I understand that, okay, that is literally like how we are raised. I was raised to do the opposite. I was raised to support whoever is my whatever future husband, etc. kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm taught to support the ways that I can and be caregiving to children. I'm taught those things naturally just in my life as a woman. That's something that not necessarily every woman goes through.
Right.
So it's not, I can generalize to all women, but there's a lot of that in, like, there's a large trend of that where women are just, the way that you're socialized in a romantic but in a life context as well are very different.
Mhm.
Um, and it's it's one of the things. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. No, cuz I was reading a lot of our my master's program has to do with gender roles and gender ideals, and I think I can agree that gender roles are social constructs. But I feel as though the word gender and gender roles has become synonymous with each other, and I don't know if that should be stated. I think that gender roles in itself, I agree, are social constructs in the sense that sometimes a man might think it might be his responsibility to lead the household. Um,
I think that the only reason that that is something that needs to be discussed is just, do you base gender identity in gender roles or in gender? Um, I mean,
and so
gen-
that's
gender identity itself does not mean the same thing as sex. I have to like just I can't make that clear enough that gender is very much a different thing entirely from sex. Is it
and I
tied to for a lot of cis people? Yes. For people like there's a lot of people that are born intersex, or there's a lot of people that just identify in a different way, or like I don't know. I For my sister, it was always a I feel no desire to do all of these socially constructed things that go coincide with being a woman. I have no
mhm.
desire to do them. I don't want to shave my legs. I don't want to do this and this and this. Like, I don't want to do all of these things. And I always thought it was super weird because I was so willing to do all of these things.
Right.
That was normal and that was what was accepted. I was getting the benefits from society because of the way that I was taken.
Well, again, I think so. Going back into the topic of gender roles and gender identity, I think it's important to distinguish that some of these things that we do, um, in terms of gender roles, in actual gender identity. So, since you're a female and you've been able to associate yourself a little bit better, I'm not saying fantastically, but better with specific cultural gender roles. It's almost sort of created a self fulfilling prophecy between you and societies. So now that you've gained positive feedback for acting in a certain way, you're now acting these ways because of that positive feedback that you received. And someone that might not have received that positive feedback, might choose to believe something differently. And although they believe something differently and they act a different way, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be happy, or
Yes, but
they could be depressed because of that.
also you can get the positive feedback for doing something and still not feel like fully fulfilled.
That's true.
That Yeah, because my little sister, when she was like when I say I knew before she was probably 12 years old
Hmm.
that she was not happy identifying as a girl. I actually know what that meant in my head? No. But can I remember seeing it and getting the vibe for it and like knowing, you know what I mean? And like yes, I could. It wasn't something that she and I were raised almost the same way.
Right.
We are a year and a half apart. Yet when she went to high school and or when I went to one school in third grade, she went to another school. I went to a private school, and she went to a year-round school. She was a little like slightly differently socialized during those years, and it was around then that like things did change. So a lot of it like probably did have to do with like our socialization. Now I have my little sister in the same school that I went to, probably being socialized to be very similar to me. Um, my older sister then went to my school her eighth grade year when I was in seventh grade, so I had been there for approximately 3 years and
Hmm.
3 or 4 years, and she had just started going to that school.
Oh.
So her early high school and stuff, she was already going in as a non-cis, but still technically like just unidentified.
Right.
person. You know what I mean? Just non-binary, but didn't know that, wasn't able to put any labels on it, felt very alone, was not happy. You know what I mean? And a lot of that had to do with the fact that she generally did not feel as comfortable expressing herself as a woman as I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were things that shifted. Was that necessarily accepted in our family as easily? No, because our family was socialized to believe one thing, and then as like she grew up, we developed. You know what I mean? Everybody in my
Right.
family,
Okay.
we're
So
very good. Like
so
it's not at all.
I want to ask a question. And although she might not have received the positive feedback from her family about acting, I guess more towards male traits, do you think that she could have possibly received positive feedback from other outlets like her peer groups? And
Hell no.
hell no. Okay.
Hell fucking no. Yeah. No, when I say like my older sister was depressed and
Really?
with dealing with like heavy depression, largely socially induced. Um, a lot of things that like I don't know, just things that I wish that I had been more understanding of at the time. But bullied for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was mortified to even go to school with my sister because I was very close-minded at the time as well. So like I was embarrassed of her, even though that's my sister.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, wow, I was a piece of shit. But I grew up. Now we're really tight. We're good. Like I just saw her for Christmas. We got a bottle of wine. We got drunk together. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's something that I used to hold a lot of judgment just in the fact that she didn't like the same people that I did.
Hmm.
And like it's something that I thought I was like, wow, she's gonna make my little sister gay. It's contagious. What if I'm gay? What if I can't give my mom children? Like all of these things. And I'm like 12 thinking, oh my God, what if I'm gay and I can't give my mom children? 12 years old thinking that? Like that's traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
That means I already had it